Okay guys, now that we're done with the parts, we're going to start doing the assembly of part of the homework, I guess. So you can do this two ways. One, you can just go to under new, the drop down, you can go to make assembly from part, and then you can just browse for parts. Or the other way is just click on the blank page. That's what I would suggest, and clicking on assembly and click OK. And here, if you already have the parts open, you're going to get all the open documents here. If you do not have the parts open, you can simply browse and then select the stuff we want. So what I'm going to start with is the end plate. Of course, they're in order like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I'm just going to start with the end plate because that's the one that can be fixed to the origin without worrying too much about, oh, does it have to rotate or not. So I'm just going to click end plate, open, and here I'm going to just click the check mark. What it does, you can click the check mark over here or here, and what it does is basically mate the end plate to the origin. So this one would be fixed. That means you cannot move it whatsoever. So if you click OK here, this thing cannot be moved at all. It's completely fixed with the parentheses F. Okay, now we're just gonna move in the other parts. So you can again click insert components and then click the pieces, drag them in, or go to browse and click the pieces one by one and dragging them in. The next part I'm going to put is the center pin. So I'm just going to drag it, click it somewhere in the graphics area. That means I can move it, rotate it, do whatever with it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do the mates later because we can worry about that later. Right now, we just have to worry about getting all the parts into the assembly first. To quickly get the parts in the assembly, you don't actually have to click it one by one. You can also just hold control and click the ones that you want. So we want the support pin, we want the spacer, we already have the end plate and the disc. Wait, we don't have the discs, we want the disc. But we have the end plate and the center pin already, so we just need these three. And click open. And it'll give you in the order you selected last. So like the disk is what I selected last, so it'll give me that, and then the spacer and the spacer pin. Okay, so I'm just gonna click somewhere in the graphics area and it's just going to switch between the parts. Now I'm gonna worry about the quantity of the stuff that we want. So we want 2 of the end plates. You can see that in the bill of materials. Again, this is called the bill of materials. It'll have the quantity, the name, the description, and the item number of all the parts in the assembly. So for the end plate, which is item number 3, there are 2 of them. To make 2 of them, all you have to do is hold control, click and drag on the plate, and it would create a new part. Make sure it's far away from the plate you already created because it will try to automatically mate with existing parts. Okay, so now we have 2 of them. How many center pins do we need? Only 1. We have 1. How many discs do we need? We need 2. So hold control, drag, and drop. 2 of them. Spacers, we need only 1. We have that. Support pins, we need 4. So again, click, drag and drop, click, drag and drop, click, drag and, click, drag and drop. Okay, so we have 4 of them. We have all the parts that we need, except for item number 2 and number 4, or number 7, which we're going to worry about later. Because what we're going to do is just use a design library over here and then go to toolbox and then get the hex nuts and bolts. Okay, so this is the movable end plate. This is the end plate that's already stuck. This is where our origin is. So I'm going to assume that it's this plate over here and then go from there. So the center pin, this one, has to be concentric with the inside of the end plate. So what we're going to do is go to mate on the top left corner in assemblies, and then in mate selections I'm going to click the cylindrical face of the center pin and the inner cylindrical face of this end plate, and then click OK here or over here. If you have it in the wrong position, what you can do is go to mate alignment and go line or anti-align, switch between those two, and it usually helps change the direction of which this is attached in. I'm going to show how a messed up direction would look like. So the next one is a coincident relation between these two. So I'm going to click on this face over here, try rotating around to see it. If you can't really see it, you can hold and drag to drag the part out and then move around just to find where it is. And then I'm going to click on this face. Basically, all it's going to do is create a coincident relation between the two stuff. Okay, done with that. The center pin is fully defined. Uh, Technically, you can still move it around like this, but we want the center pin to actually move around, I think, for this assembly, because usually when there are neural features on a center pin, like the little grid on the center pin, that means that the user can turn that piece or grab onto that piece. That's what the neural feature is usually used for better grip. So we're just going to assume that it's going to be able to turn. Okay, next piece would be the spacer, or the disk first, and then the spacer. So the disk is going to go on the insides of the two end plates. So I'm going to make a concentric relation between these two, and then click OK. And then I'm going to make a coincident relation, so click on the plate over here, and then click on the end plate, and then make a coincident relation. As you can see, SolidWorks already helps me make most of the relations. I just have to click which faces I want. Okay, the next part is the spacer, which is going in between the disks. So it's going to go next. So I'm going to click you can click the inner or outer face. I'm going to click the outer face for ease, and this face, cylindrical face. And what it's going to do is just create a concentric mate. Click OK, drag the piece for better comfort of movement, and I'm going to move around and click this little face of the cylinder, and then click the disk, and click it's in coincident relation, click OK. And now I'm going to put in the second disk, which goes in after. So the second disk goes here, the inner. You can also click the outer circle if you want. I'm just clicking the inner circle just because there's no real reason. It should be concentric, and click OK. And then drag it around for better comfort. And then click the spacer. And then this disk, coincident, OK. And now finally we want the end plate. Yeah. For that, we can just simply click the coincident relation again. So inner plate, or inner circular of the end plate, and then the circle. And then it'll automatically choose the coincident relation. But as you can see, it's like kind of clipping through it. So in case you cannot actually select this piece, I could do it, but in case you can't select it, what you can do is right click on wherever your part's going to be, and then do select other. Basically, it's going to hide all the other parts. So let's say I have this part, right? And I don't want to see my original end plate. So I'm just going to right click, and it's going to hide it. So now I can click on whatever thing I want. So what I'm going to do is click, actually, I'm going to left click here. This one is going to select this plate, but again, I'll try again. So right click, select other, and now I can click the inside, this plate, which is related to this end plate over here. So I'm just going to click that. And then I'm going to click this end disk. It's basically giving you an ease of comfort. Like now you can go through the part, even though it's clipping into a part, you don't actually have to move it. You can just go through it. You can just see through all the parts, and then even though your view doesn't permit it, and just go through it. like that. Okay, so now we are done with the concentric relations, kind of. This one is still wobbly, we don't want that. So what we're gonna do is make these two planes coincident. And click OK. Now, it's not gonna move anywhere, it's sturdy. Now we can put in the support pins. So the support pins are just concentric with these outer circles. So we're just gonna, oh wait, no, they're not. Control Z real quick. They're concentric with these inner circles. Yes. The outer circles is for the hex bolts, which we're gonna put in later. So I'm just gonna add the concentric relations first, and then worry about the other stuff later. Oh, also, I want to show you the anti-align features right here. Although it's not necessary since it's perfectly symmetric. Let's say we have this, and you can click the mate alignment and click the other section, and then what it's going to do is just turn the part around, like that. So you can turn the part around to see which orientation you would like. I would like to keep this orientation, so I'd like to press OK. But if, let's say, it's oriented the wrong way, you can just do anti-align or align, and then it'll simplify the process. Now there's one complex mate that you want to do. So click this face, and then this face, and then click this face of your support pin. Oh no, it's not letting me click it. Actually, go to advanced, and then click the width part. So width sections. Width basically gives you like between two parts you want it to be at the center. So like we click this part and then this part and move to the tab selections, and then we would click the insides, which is this part and this part, and what it would do is make this center support pin in the center of these two faces. So it would select the center of this face, and this face, and then the center of this face and this face, and then it would make them coincident or equal. And basically what it would do is the support pin is now in the middle of the two faces. We can click OK, and then move on to the next one. Again, width, and same thing as we did last time. So click on that face, and then it would move to tab selections. Click on this face, and did we already do this? I don't think so. Okay, and then click OK. Now we're gonna do, let me just check which ones we did. So did we do this one? No. We did this one. We didn't do this one. And we didn't do this one. Oh, we already did the right one. So we only need to do top, left, and down. Okay, click on mate again. And we're gonna do the top, left, and down. So again, go to advanced, width, click on that face, and then this face, and then now we're doing the top, that one, and that one, and click OK. Another easy way to do this, because you're clicking so many times, you can just go to standard and then make this coincident with that, because you know they're the same length, they can be like coincident with each other, and then you can just go on that way. It's easier. It's not really exact, but it's way easier than doing this. Okay, now we're done with doing the center pins, but as you can see, the discs are still moving around, and they're kind of clipping through the support pins. To stop that, we can select this curve feature of the disc and this curve of the support pin, and it'll make it concentric with each other. Click that, and now this disc can't move anymore. We can do the same thing on the other side, so concentrics of this and this, and it'll be concentric. And that's it. We have fully defined our part, go ahead and save this. First, click OK on the mate, and then now save this. Sometimes it'll ask you to rebuild, just rebuild it. It's basically checking if all your parts are good. Now save this in the same folder as you saved your parts and save this as a fixture assembly. I'm naming this fixture assembly because in the assembly it says fixture assembly, so yeah. Okay, we're done with assembling the part and we can go on to the drawings, but before we do that, I want to also create the exploded view you see over here. To do that, what we're going to do is go to this configuration manager over here, and then we can either click on this default configuration and do new exploded view, or in the assemblies, if you put it on full screen, you'd have this exploded view tab. And this will allow you to do exploded views onto the part. Okay, so first, oh no,